salvaged a 5-5 trip. Very, very happy about this for the New York Mets. But there's a lot to discuss over this series. Glad to see Tyler McGill back Friday. He pitched pretty decent and gave up a 2-run shot, but otherwise, velocity looks good. Obviously, they kept him in there for just under 4 innings. Perfectly fine. Mets take 2 out of 3 from the Angels. They lose 2 out of 3 to the Padres, and they split with the Dodgers. This is as good as you can ask for on a West Coast trip, considering what the Mets went through. I mean, things were looking a little bleak there when Marte and Alonso went down. But for the most part, thank God, those were day-to-day injuries. They both look solid. Alonso crushed a home run today, so I'm sure that hand's feeling a lot better. And he's playing first base, which surprised me. I thought maybe he would DH, considering that he got hit in the hand and there was swelling and stuff like that, probably some inflammation. So I thought maybe taking catches at first base would only, further kind of, aggravate that injury. But no, he seems fine. He's a tough guy. I mean, we can, and I'm going to get into this in a second here because I got a bit of a rant that I want to get off my chest. But considering what Alonso's been through this year, going back to spring training when he got into his car accident, and then so far this season, the guy's been hit 7-8 times, twice in the head. I mean, this dude is tough as nails, man. To go in there, now he hits 18th home run, still leads the league in RBIs. And I mean, he's having an MVP caliber season. And, if it wasn't for Goldschmidt and CJ Cron, he'd probably be a shoo-in to start at first base in the All-Star game. But I have a feeling Goldschmidt is going to get that because he's got similar stats and a higher average. So, but glad to see that they salvage. Now, the thing of it is, the Mets did have some ugly losses on this West Coast trip. Even to the Angels yesterday, ugly losses to the Padres, which are not the best hitting team in the world. Chris Bassett is a big concern right now. For some reason, West Coast teams seem to kick his butt. We'll see if that is his bugaboo and if he comes back pitching to other teams solid, or if he's just going through a point. If any pitcher is going to go through a point during the season where they're going to get hammered, where they're going to struggle, you want it to be now. You expect every pitcher to have that, even the best of them. Walker Buehler is a good example. He started the season like wildfire, and then he started to struggle, and now he's injured. So you hope that Chris Bassett bounces back soon, and then he kind of gets this out of his system and then continues during the season being consistent. Edwin Diaz had a great outing tonight. Did a fabulous job striking out Mike Trout with men on base. I mean, that was big because Trout had killed the Mets yesterday. Carrasco, once again, looking a little inconsistent. Taijuan Walker tonight looked phenomenal. My God, it was so funny that they were talking about how his strikeouts are so low, and he comes out and he strikes out 10 batters. So very good performance by Taijuan Walker. Very, very inspiring to come out of this West Coast trip at 5-5. And considering the struggle, they still have a decent lead on the Braves, who have now won 11 in a row. So we knew this was coming. So it's going to be a battle with the Braves this year, and even the Phillies. Ever since firing Joe Girardi, they've won 9 in a row, 10 in a row. I'm not sure if they won tonight. I'd have to check, but for the most part, those two teams are hot right now. And now the Mets come back, and oh man, West Coast trips, I hate them. I've always hated West Coast trips as a Met fan. They just drive me insane because, and it's funny, they showed a stat tonight showing that a lot of teams struggle on West Coast trips. So it's not just the Mets, but being a Met fan and kind of concentrating on just them, of course, I always see them, struggle in the West Coast. So now the Mets start a series with, let's see here, look at the schedule. They start a series with Milwaukee. So even though they're coming back home, it doesn't get any easier. Milwaukee's another tough team, and Chris Bassett will be on the mound this time against Adrian Hauser. So again, now you're looking at another tough series against Milwaukee. In fact, we're going to take a little bit of an extended look here at the Mets schedule before I get into my rant about the Mets getting hit with pitches and the responses and stuff like that. But it was a tough West Coast trip. To come out of there 5-5, considering everything they went through, is pretty incredible. It's pretty incredible because in that San Diego series, things were not looking good. And I don't want to say I was nervous, but my concern was that if the injuries were really bad, even if they were day to day, but day to day to the point where they weren't able to perform the rest of the trip, you're looking at a potentially 3-7 trip. You know what I mean? And that would have been just horrendous. But now they come back 5-5. They still have a decent lead on the Braves and the Phillies, and now they're home for the next 7 games against Milwaukee and Miami. Now Miami is still a tough team, and they have traditionally given the Mets a hard time. So you still got 2 tough series coming up, and then you get 2 at Houston, which is another tough series, and then you got 3 more at Miami, and then 2 more at home versus Houston, and then it gets a little bit easier, although Texas is playing better. And then you got Cincinnati. You got to go to Cincinnati after you stay home. You're at home for Texas, and then you're at home again for another 4-game set for Miami, and then we are at Atlanta in July. So most of the games against Atlanta are coming in the second half. So it looks like the schedulers knew what to do. But right now the Mets are in good spot. They're 40-22. All right. Taiwan Walker, the pitching for the most part is still doing pretty well. There are some concerns with Bassett and Carrasco's inconsistency, but you hope that they hang on long enough until Scherzer and DeGrom get back. So here's the thing. The Mets are still getting hit by pitches quite a bit, all right? Alonso seems to be getting the brunt of it, but, you know, Nemo's gotten hit this series, this trip. And, you know, I know a lot of people, at least it looks to me like a lot of people are down the middle as to how the Mets should respond. Now, I don't think responding with hitting the other team's batter is the way to go. I just don't think that's going to send the message anymore. I don't. I think in my heart, one of them, the next Met to get hit has to charge the mound. That's it. After a while, you have to send the message that it's not going to be tolerated anymore. Major League Baseball is not going to do anything about it. If anything, the Mets got in trouble for pitching at Nolan Arenado. What was it? Yeah, it was that whole series against St. Louis. And I think Buck got suspended for 1 game for that, which was absolutely ridiculous considering the Mets have been, they got hit like 4 times that series. After a while, if MLB's not going to do anything, if these teams aren't going to stop, because you could sit there and say 100 times it's an accident, You know what? After a while, you still got to be held accountable for your accidents. You know, make it so that other teams can take the extra care not to hit a player. Because if you're just going to sit there and continue taking it, for number one, someone's going to end up getting hurt. You know, I know people are going to argue, oh, well, you know, you got to worry about the suspension. Well, it's either get suspended or get put on the 15-day DL. Because let me tell you something, the Mets came out very lucky with Alonso this time. They came out very lucky with Alonso a number of times, getting hit in the face and in the head twice. You know what I mean? And then now getting hit in the hand. And he has been, that luck's going to run out. That luck is going to run out. If he gets hit again and again, you don't know what's going to happen. And I'm not trying to speak it into being, but realistically, you can only roll the dice so much. But if you charge the mound and you put other teams on notice that you're not going to take the crap, then I'd rather my player be suspended 2 or 3 games than be put on the 15-day DL. You know, and make sure that other pitchers know, all right, let me make sure I got a good grip on it. You know, sometimes it's, you know, we're not in the pitcher's head. You know, we don't know what's going on. I mean, we can safely assume and give benefit of the doubt that it is an accident. But I got to tell you, you know, sometimes when you kind of come up as the team to beat, you know, the Mets have already got a reputation in the National League similar to the Yankees in terms of how they're going to spend to win. We all know it. We all have seen them do it. And that means this is going to be a team that, if nothing else, is going to be competitive every year as far as Steve Cohen has the power to do it, you know? And sometimes other teams don't like that. You know, I'm not saying there's a message going down from every team owner to their coach to their players to go after these guys. But clearly, I kind of feel like the Mets have a target on their back, even though they haven't won anything, which is kind of amazing. Think about it. They have not won anything yet, but for some reason, they feel like the team that everyone's going after. Meanwhile, it should be the Braves, right? They're the ones who won the World Series. So I think in my opinion, you know, again, you don't want to advocate for violence. You don't want to see a brawl, right? Because people can still get hurt in a brawl. Somebody, there's a scuffle, you're on the ground, somebody spikes, hits somebody else's thigh, they get cut, something like that. So yeah, my preference is not to see a brawl. But at this point, if you're going to get hit, 40 times already this year? A little over 40. I think it was 43 up to now. If that's the case, at some point, you got to send a message. And I'm not going to sit here and say, oh, this is what the 86 men. No, we all know they fight, but I'm not saying it for that reason. I'm not saying it so they can be like the 86 Mets. What I'm saying is you have to stand up for yourself at some point, And I know that times have changed, I know that whether you like to hear this or not, society is a lot softer now than it used to be. And it's gone in every different direction, even in sports, even to the point now where players are very sensitive to heckling from fans. And again, I want to make clear that I don't condone when fans say something like, there have been stories about fans shouting out racial slurs, and I'm not condoning that. That, hecklers should heckle, but not like that. But even when you look at history, when you look at sports franchises that have had some intense rivalries, let's take the Lakers and the Celtics, for example. I mean, the Lakers used to get racial slurs thrown at them when they went to Boston. And again, that's not right. But you want to know something? They handled it. They dealt with it. They didn't like it, but they dealt with it and they still went out there and did their job. So why is it now, we have players that are so sensitive, and it's to all heckling. I mean, if you're a player and you hear a fan in the stand saying, you're a jerk, you're an asshole, blah, 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 you just got to ignore that stuff. It's amazing how soft society has become, and it's affected every facet of our life. That now the idea of a player charging the mound, everybody's like, no. Where like 25 years ago, everybody would be like, yeah, kick his ass, And in this case, it's not that I even want it done for entertainment purposes, but I'm tired of seeing players on the team that I'm rooting for getting hit. And I have to weigh my options here. Do I want, what would have happened if Pete Alonso, after getting hit, was on the DL for like 15 days or 60 days because he had a broken hand or something? What if he had charged the mound in St. Louis? Would have put a stop to that? You have to at least send the message. It doesn't guarantee that it's going to end, but at least if the pitcher has in the back of their mind, I better be extra careful pitching to this guy, because if I hit him, he's probably going to come and kick my ass. And you want to know something? Pete Alonso's a big boy. You think any pitcher wants a big dude like that charging the mound, ready to pound him? No, I don't think so. And look, don't get me wrong. In the early going, I was very happy to see every time the Mets got hit, they just stood up, put their chin up, and went to first base. Don't let it faze you. I do believe in that. But to this extent, is it a little too far now? This is way too much. Way too much. I'm sorry. There has to be a breaking point. And if teams are going to continue to do it, if our retaliation with our pitchers is going to get us in more trouble, and if Major League Baseball is not going to do anything to crack down on it, then there's only one other way to solve this problem. Have these motherfuckers charge the mound, and that's it. Pop off. Put the league on notice. All right, you got away with it the first 40 times. That's it. So that's my two-piece. That's my little rant. And I know it was going to make this video long, but I had to get that off my chest because it is getting frustrating to see some of your favorite players, and I feel like it's Alonso a lot. I really feel like, and I get it. Alonso can be a little cocky when he comes. I mean, he seems humble, but if you listen to some of the things he said in interviews before, especially when it comes to being a power hitter, saying he's the best home run hitter in the game right now and stuff like that, yeah, that could piss him. And then when you have him go out there and proving it, I mean, that kind of stuff pisses other teams off, especially if you're the one on the receiving end from one of his freaking moonshots. So, but overall, the Mets coming back home are in a good position in terms of their record. They have a decent lead. Everybody is a little banged up, but for the most part, we still got the same lineup out there. Our pitching is struggling, and hopefully it hangs on long enough so that Scherzer and DeGrom can get back, and we'll see where things go from there. But I'm very, very happy that they went on this trip and we're 5-5. It was a long 10-game road trip in the West Coast, and they came away 5-5, which there was a moment there that it didn't look like it was going to end up that way. And I feel very fortunate very fortunate that Marte and Alonso were only a couple, like day to day with their injuries. Very fortunate that we did get some good pitching performances, particularly Taijuan Walker. Carrasco, he had one good performance and then another one that just wasn't so great. So, it is what it is. You just got to kind of take that with him. Not all your starters are going to be aces, but when your aces are both down, you have to expect your other starters to step up. Chris Bassett has got to fix his problem. I'm glad he took accountability. I know he said he was embarrassed with his performance, and he very well should be. He's a better pitcher than what he's been showing, but he's got to get it fixed now. It can't wait any longer. I'm hoping to see a better performance against Milwaukee. Milwaukee's not exactly an offensive powerhouse, but neither was San Diego, and they ripped us a new asshole in their series. So, we'll see what happens. But overall, good job for the Mets fighting through what was a tough road trip, coming out of it 5-5, which you can't ask for anything more. Even going into the road trip, that's what I was hoping for. I was hoping for them to come back 5-5, and I feel that if it wasn't for some of the events that took place on that road trip, I feel like they could have come back 6-4, possibly even 7-3, if it weren't for some of the injuries and things like that and some of the bad pitching performances. So, but be that as it may, I'm very happy with 5-5. They're 40-22. They're still 18 games above 500, and now it's gonna get tough. We got the Braves coming in a couple of weeks. No, not even a couple of weeks. Exactly a month from now. And in between that, we got some pretty tough games. Milwaukee, Miami. We got Houston 4 times in the coming weeks. Then we have a lot of Miami. We have 3 different series against Miami. We have actually 11 games against Miami coming up. So that's the brunt of it. So we'll see. And Miami has some great pitching. They have some great pitching. So we'll be back tomorrow night after the Milwaukee game to talk about what how the game went. We'll look back at it, see how Bassett did this time. I'm going to be watching that game intently, hoping that he performs well. Actually, probably have to watch highlights because my son has a baseball game at 6, so I'll probably miss the first 3 innings of the game. But either way, I'll be paying close attention to how Bassett performs. But, let's go Mets, man. 5-5 on a road trip, and I'm so happy. You have no idea how ecstatic I am. They came away 5-5. The way things were looking was not looking good there. And Alonso continues to destroy the ball. He has been very, very consistent this year, and he is a different type of hitter than he has been up to this point in his career. So, but anyway, that's it for this video. Let me know in the comment section, how do you feel about the Mets being hit? Do you want them to just continue to kind of ignore it? I know it makes you look like that's just a whole, be the bigger person, be the better player, just take your base. But I'm not about that. Not after getting hit 40 times. Getting hit, if it's sporadic, if it happens once in a while, yeah, just take your base. Don't do no stupid shit. But if you're getting hit 40 times, I'm sorry. I am sorry. Something's going on and a message has to be sent. So I'm hoping that one of the Mets or the next Met to get hit just drops the bat, charges them out, and let's get this shit off our chest. Let's let everybody know, stop hitting us or we're going to kick your ass. That's it. So let me know. I'm interested to see how some of you feel about that in the comment section. Otherwise, thanks for watching. Don't forget the sub button and like the video, and definitely get active in the comment section. I want to see what you guys have to say about where the Mets are right now. How do you feel about them being hit so much and how they're retaliating, or how they're reacting, I should say. And we'll be back here tomorrow night for a recap of the Milwaukee game with Bassett, see how he does, and we'll get into that conversation tomorrow. This is Rob signing off for E.T.N, where we don't do news, we just talk entertainment. Take it easy.